Hello everybody and welcome back to Simon's Order Academy. Today we're going to be discussing my recent success at a tournament in Brisbane, Australia called Brizhammer Chaotic. So just a quick overview for you guys if you aren't aware of the tournament. It was a 5-round 2-dayer, 3 rounds day 1, 2 rounds day 2. So round 1 was Star Strike, round 2 was Total Conquest, round 3 was Knife to the Heart, round 4 was Scorched Earth, and round 5 was Focal Points. A pretty good balance of scenarios here. I'm not a big fan of the random ones, so Star Strike first up was a bit rough, especially for a lot of people where the objectives didn't drop in the right spot. I'm not a big fan of scenarios like that. I like fixed objectives, so that you know what you're doing, you know how you're deploying, and you don't have to be overly responsive, and it doesn't favour mobile armies as much as it should. The system was basically 20-0. So if you got a major win, you got 16 points. If you got a major loss, you got 0. And then there were 2 auxiliary objectives that were selected by the TO and revealed at the start of every round. If you scored one of yours, you got 1 point. If you scored both yours, you got 2 points. And if you denied your opponent scoring theirs, you get 1 or 2 points if you denied 1 or 2. So the maximum win is a 20, which means that the person that got the major win got both of their objectives, secondary objectives, and denied their opponents both their secondaries. Or you can also get a loss and have 4 points at a minor loss, where you got both your secondaries and denied your opponent there too, which obviously is less likely to happen, but it did happen. And then interestingly for this tournament, you get 1 reroll per game. So they had they gave you dice as part of the kind of entry awards, I guess. Everybody got it. The goodie bag that when you turn up to a tournament, everybody got Brizhammer dice with the logo on it. And if you use those dice during the game and you wanted to reroll once per battle, you could reroll a single dice roll. So overall, it's a fairly standard pack. The big thing is the dice that stands out. The 20-0 system is one that's been used quite often in tabletop simulator tournaments recently, most of the ones that I've played in anyway. And the scenarios are fairly standard. Knife to the Heart game 3 is a good position to have it because it breaks up the entire field ready for day 2. So one of the things that we do over here in Australia when we run a tournament, it seems to be fairly standard these days, is that you set it in one of the realms for every single game, maybe a Queensland thing. But this tournament was set in the realm of Ulgu, which means that there were some, realm-specific spells, features, and command abilities that came with it. So the spell for the realm of Ulgu is the Judgment of Shadow, casting value of 7. Pick an enemy unit within 12 inches and roll 7 dice. For each result lower than their unmodified save characteristic, they suffer a mortal wound. So it's okay. If you've got enemy characters that are, a 6-up armor save, you're going to get 5 or 6 wounds out of that. It's not bad. A little bit of a limited range, but owing to the fact that it is in the realm of Ulgu, the Umbral Spell Portal had unlimited range to be placed on the table, and I think a lot of armies took advantage of that. The Realmscape feature, this is big. All terrain is overgrown. So it probably would have been more effective if there was more terrain on the tables, but obviously when you're doing a big 64-player tournament, the terrain probably comes a bit sparse towards the end when you try and fill up that many tables, but still had an effect on a number of my games. So all terrain is overgrown. Basically, if you can draw a millimeter line between the 2 closest points of the model and the model it's trying to target, then unless either of those has fly, the target is not visible to the attacker. So pretty big. In my list, it was just Morathi, the Shadow Queen that had fly, and so her 18-inch little snipe shot was going off all game. But there were a couple of times when my snakes couldn't see something because of blocking terrain, or when my dark shots couldn't fire, or my Scourge Runner chariots. So it was very effective, and I think the general consensus was that it was actually quite good at neutering a few of the shooting armies. And a big one from Ulgu is the command ability. Once per game at the end of the movement phase, pick a unit wholly within 18 inches of a friendly hero, and then you remove that unit from the table and set it up again wholly within 6 inches of the same hero. So it's basically a 24-inch move once per battle, which is huge. I only used it once to try and salvage the game at the first game of the tournament. The rest of the time I didn't really use it. I could move under my own auspices, but it's an amazing ability to have up your sleeve. So this is the list that I took. The background picture is just, the army, a picture of the army that I took previously. So 5 leaders. The first one is the Shadow Queen. She's allied in. This is a bit of contention between a lot of people, but checking with the TO and checking with a number of the competitive players in Australia, we had a look at this and we think that it's legal. It probably shouldn't be, but the consensus was that it was actually a legal choice, and I did check this with people before submitting my list for the tournament. So you ally her in, which means that she doesn't count towards your 1 in 4 dock to get the keyword. Also means that she can't benefit from the Murderous Zeal command trait, and she also can't use the Har Kuron command ability to stab someone and cause battle shock immunity within 18 inches of that unit. It actually did come up that it was that I couldn't use Murderous Zeal on her a few times. So going forward, I think if I was going to make lists and still play it in this way, I don't think that she would be the ally. One of the problems with this list is that if you make the Morathi Cane or the Shrine or the Snakes, any of those guys, allies, you kind of lose a lot of output. Morathi can't take a spell if she's an ally, and the Snakes can't be affected by the Murderous Zeal command trait if they're an ally. So there's a few considerations to make. I'll be playing Har Kuron for a little while, I think, because it was great fun over the weekend. So I'm going to modify this list slightly, and you'll probably see me on Twitter posting about it. So Morathi Cane on foot with Vitriolic Spray. Super important because you can't kill her for 4 turns essentially. You've got Vitriolic Spray in play that entire time. Super strong. The Sorceress also has Vitriolic Spray for some redundancy. The Sorceress's War Scroll spell is Word of Pain is actually really good. And so it's less of an issue if Morathi casts Vitriolic Spray. The Sorceress can default to her War Scroll spell, which is really strong as well. But she can stab a Dark Shard to get +2 to cast, and when Vitriolic Spray's on an 8 and you need a 6 to hit it, that +2 is absolutely clutch. The General is a Black Ark Fleet Master. Murderous Zeal is the Exploding Sixes to hit. Again, Har Kuron, the book, doesn't specify what you have to roll to succeed in casting this prayer. And so the entire time I was just playing it as a 3+. And that my opponent seemed to accept that and seemed to think that it was fine. The artifact is huge. This is one of the main reasons why I like the city so much. The artifact is the Trader's Banner. Units wholly within 12 inches are -1 to hit with missile weapons. Super important in the shooting meta. Even more important in a tournament such as this, where you've got Overgrown as well to take advantage of that, because you can put him in Overgrown. They can't see him, but and that means they can't get rid of the -1 to hit if they're targeting other stuff wholly within 12. Really good. And then the Bloodbrack Shrine. Look, the only reason why I took the Bloodbrack Shrine because I was trying to be edgy with list design and trying to do that 1 in 4 plus an ally kind of thing. She'd be dropped if I had to go again. It was fine. 160 points. Like, you can't really complain about what it does at 160 points. It's a 13 wound hero that has a cast and 2 unbinds. It did okay. The battle line is fairly minimal. Luckily, I wasn't punished for this, but 1 unit of 20 Dark Shards are basically just a stabbing target for the Sorceress, and if they kill anything with their shooting, then great, sounds good. And then 3 individual Scourge Runner Chariots. These guys are 80 points each. They're only 6 wounds with a 5+ save, but they've got a big base. They get in the way, and 6 wounds with a 5+ save. You do need some reasonable output to get rid of that, and so a lot of the time I'm using these guys to just tag units and hold them in combat, which I think is really fun. I really enjoyed playing them. The other units in the army are 2 units of 10 Shadow Warriors, so used for dropping down on objectives, which was super clutch in every single game that we played. So I'm really happy that I used 2. A lot of people think that Shadow Warriors are overcosted or they're not strong enough, but they absolutely printed money in every single game that I played them in, so they won't be going anywhere. The Second last thing is the Bloodstalkers. So good synergy of the Bloodstalkers with Marathi Canes. You can spend a CP to make them shoot twice, and you can hit them with the Murderous Zeal command trait to give them exploding 6s on 20 shots, so that their 6s that do mortals also score a hit, which just increases their output a little bit more. They're really strong. People try and kill them, and they soak up a lot of damage while your other stuff is going around in the backfield wreaking havoc. Even though they're just a 280 point unit, people see them and they're like, right, I need to kill those snakes, and they go for them hard. Finally, we've got the Umbral Spell Portal. As I said before, it goes anywhere on the table in this army. Sorry, in the realm of Shadow, not in this army normally, but because we're in the realm of Ulgu, you can place it anywhere. Vitriolic Spray, because it's only 6-inch range, is really short ranged, obviously. So being able to put a spell portal next to your sorceress and then anywhere else on the table means that I can reach out and turn off an armor save for any model on the table. Huge. And an extra command point. The extra command point is basically because you don't get the retinue rule in Har Kuron, and I really want command points to be able to make stuff fight. If I can make the snake shoot and I can make Marathi, the Shadow Queen, fight twice in the same hero phase, it can be absolutely game winning. And so anytime I can get an extra command point, I go for it. So the list in total is 1970 points. It's actually a really good bid for a command point. You've got lots of mobility in the Shadow Queen, the 3 chariots. You've got lots of output in the Dark Shards and the Bloodstalkers. And then you've got, you know, some dudes popping up in terrain over in the backfield, the Shadow Warriors. So it's really good. It's a great list. I had good fun with it. As I said, going forward, I think I'd get rid of the Shrine, put in some more Dark Shards, and put in the snake, the Bloodwrack Viper. Just so I was finding that Marathi Cane was lacking things to cast a lot of the time, and that spell is just absolutely ridiculous. So I think that list may potentially be better. I've got to tweak it a little bit, obviously, because you've got to get 1 in 12 again. But I'm happy with how that list is going, and I will be posting battle reports with it very soon. So round 1, I get paired into a guy called Pat Carter, who essentially finishes in the top 5 of any tournament that happens in Brisbane. Pat's a really good player. He usually plays KO, so when I saw his name, I was like, oh shit, KO in Star Strike. This is going to hurt. But then he turned up with Fire Slayers. He's a dwarfy boy. He looks like a bit of a dwarf as well. He's short. He's got a big beard. You know, that's not a judgment thing. He's a very attractive man. And the list he was playing was a little bit odd. 20 Auric Halfguard, which is different. And he was playing 2 battalions. He was playing the normal one, the Lords of the Lodge, and then he was playing Forge Brethren, which is give a +1 armor save to something within 18 inches of the Oryx, which is super strong on the Berserkers. And it would be great if I could have cast Vitriolic Spray more than once during this game to get rid of the armor save, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So in Star Strike, I thought I did really well. The middle objective dropped on the right hand side of the board, where as you can see from the picture here, he basically castled everything on the 24-inch line from his right hand side. And I got a bit greedy, so I put my chariot too far forward when it didn't need to be. It just had to go towards the back and just sit on that objective. And then what happened is that he, in his bottom of turn 2, he charged, or he ran. He had a prayer that could make him run and charge, and so he ran, used a command point, turned into a 6, so went 12 inches, needed an 8-inch charge to get into my chariot to take the objective off, succeeded, killed the chariot, and I had to redirect significant effort over that side. I think I sent the Bloodwrack Shrine and the Shadow Queen into the 10 Volkites that were on that side. And so that took them away from the main kind of force of that was coming towards me. I managed to get the Berserkers down to 5, and he spent a command point to stop them from running away on the turn that I did get Vitriolic Spray off on them. And then those 5 guys just went on to wreak havoc in my backfield. It was like, he got some really high charge rolls off, which is fine, it happens in the game. But then Halfguard Berserkers fighting twice with the axes, 2 damage, like every single successful wound, and I think he got rend off that turn, so it was rend 3. Potentially, I think he got it off with a 6 and might have just been Ren 2, but regardless, every single one of those that wounds kills the snake. And so he removed the snakes, removed the dark shards in the following turn, and basically took my back objective, which fell in the middle of this mausoleum terrain you can see here. His objective fell back left in the picture that we're looking at, and I tried to take it off him with some Shadow Warriors. Didn't get my 9-inch charge with either unit of Shadow Warriors. The Oryx were able to hold it, fight off the Shadow Warriors, and basically take it, which was very sad. So I lost 23-22, which is really, really annoying, because if I hadn't put that Chariot within run and charge range on the right-hand side, I would have been 2 points up, and he would have been 2 points lower, and so I would have won 22-21. So positioning really important. The game otherwise went really well, and Pat's a great opponent and he plays a good game. So it was actually a really fun game to play and really good for my brain first up to kind of jog me into action. But I think I had a caffeine deficiency at that point in time, and I really need coffee to do my best, unfortunately. So I went and got a coffee after this, which is very important going into round 2. So round 2. Total Conquest, I was drawn into Dennis, who is one of the Failed Charge boys. I consider myself a Failed Charge boy now. I've got a t-shirt, so I'll just invite myself to the club. He's a really good guy and a really fun guy to play against. He was playing Reaper's Vengeance, Blades of Khorne, Archaon, a Bloodthirster that allowed Archaon to pile in 6 inches, 2 Slaughter Priests, a Bloodsecrator, a Bloodstoker, with some artifacts. Can't remember what they did. All I remember that I needed to kill the Bloodstoker first. 2 10s of Blood Reavers and a 5 of Blood Warriors. So you can see my setup in the picture. Morathi Kane's off to the right, basically within range of running onto that objective. Down in the bottom left, the Sorceress is kind of squished in all them and was ready to run onto the left-hand side objective. And then I've got heroes within 6 inches of the middle objective. So basically, first turn I ran out and got 6 scenario points, which was really strong. Put a number of wounds onto the Bloodthirster. First turn I removed the 10 Blood Reavers on the right hand side, so basically to deny him bodies to try and take that right hand side objective off me, which worked because Archaon went in to Morathi and tried to kill her. Tried to kill her. Morathi just went into, Archaon just went into Morathi. He only had 1 on that objective and I had Morathi, so I kept it, which is really clutch. And then I pushed on the left-hand side the next turn, removed the 5 Blood Warriors and the 10 Blood Reavers with Shadow Warriors appearing in the backfields, and took his home objective, controlled all objectives on turn 2, and basically rode that to victory. Every single model in his army was dead except for Archaon by turn 3. And then I had, I think at the end of the game, a Sorceress, and I think, at the end of the game, so I was going for, one of the secondaries in this was have more stuff in your opponent's territory than they have in yours. And I had 2 Shadow Warriors left at the back of his territory, and Archaon went over and removed them, and so he denied me that secondary objective, which was really annoying because I didn't have to move them up. So yeah, that was what was left. A Sorceress, I think he killed all the Dark Shards, and there was the 2 Shadow Warriors which died, so I think there were like 2 models left at the end of the game. So super bloodthirsty, Khorne would have been happy and appeased. Super fun game. Very comfortable victory to the Har Kuron. So round 3 of the tournament, I get drawn into a guy called Brody. He was new to the scene. This was his, I think he said it was his second AOS tournament, which, you kind of feel bad when you get someone like that coming into you, but when you won 1 at the end of day 1, you're looking for a big win to kind of boost your confidence going into day 2. I feel bad about saying it, but this is exactly what happened. So he had 13 drops and I had 12, so he must have only played against his mates where, everyone in 40k takes the first turn, because if you take the first turn, you win. So I gave him the first turn and made him come at me, and then as soon as I did that, he's like, oh. And it kind of looked like nobody had actually done that to him before. And so he kind of pushed up tentatively, tried to screen with he had 5 units of the Sabertooths, so he tried to screen with those guys. I shot a lot of them off. I removed something important first turn. I think it was a stone Frostlord, something. I don't know, one of the big beasts, or like, I'm not even lying when I say this, they all look identical to me. I cannot tell the difference between Stonehorns and Beastclaw Riders and all that crap. All I knew was that one was a Stegodon, that was the general, he had to die. And so, first turn, Snakes, Morathi, Chariots, basically took him off. I got the vitriolic spray off on him and then removed him from the table. And that took off the drop of the red stuff and whatever other things that he did, the snowballs, like all that stuff. So it was on the back foot basically from the end of turn 2. I'd removed everything from the table turn 4, did a bit of a gamey douchebag move, which I won't apologise for because we're at a tournament, and didn't take his objective when I could have, because one of the objectives was kill all of your opponent's leader models and he still had a Butcher alive. So I basically delayed the game for a turn, didn't take his back objective, he had one Butcher left on the table, I killed him, and then I took the objective the next turn and won the game. So it was a big win, 20-0, but I knew because I had that loss in the first round, I needed to go for secondaries to have a chance of getting on a podium. And so I went for it, and obviously in this game I got it. So it was a really strong result going into round 4, day 2, a bit of a confidence booster, and I was super keen to get back into it the next day. When I found out what I was playing round 4 into Scorched Earth, I kind of vomited a little bit in my mouth. All that confidence from the day before kind of washed away pretty quickly. Scorched Earth is not a scenario that you want to play against Idoneth. I mean, my other option was playing against KO, like literally where I was the Matt playing Idoneth was one above me, and Kron, who has notoriety for being a KO player, was one below me. And so I think out of the two, like, which one do you want to play on Scorched Earth? I don't think it really matters. Anyway, I got the Idoneth, a bit of a different list. Not all of the eels. He had a unit of 3 Alapexes and a turtle, but then had the unit of 6 Morsar with Volti and 4 units of Ishlan. It was really, really close game. So I made, again, a couple of little mistakes. In this scenario, you can't burn if you've got a hero within 6. So what you can't see on the picture is that my Black Ark Fleet Master is on the objective all the way over to the left. Morathi Kane is sitting on that middle one. The middle left one. The middle right one is secured by my Bloodrack Shrine, and the middle back one, and the right back one is secured by my Sorceress. So I had 4 of my heroes within 6 of the objective, so he couldn't just jump on and burn them. He could score them, but he couldn't burn them, and that's pretty clutch in Scorched Earth. As you can see on the table, he completely left his backfield open, and I pushed one of the chariots up to take the top left objective, and then I pushed one guy into the middle to take that objective there. It all kind of came to a head towards the end when he just got so many charges off. The little pointy guy is just so annoying. And, choose unit within 24 inches. All the shit in your army gets plus 3 inches to charge that unit, but must end within half an inch of it. Like, there's no downside to that. You don't have to roll for anything. I don't know, through a super frustrating army. So he took off all my snakes. Morathi and Morathi Canes hung around. I didn't get off the vitriolic. So I had Morathi Kane in combat with the turtle. I didn't get the vitriolic spray off that I needed. If I had gotten that off, the turtle would have died, and Morathi and the Shadow Queen would have lived another turn. Would have been a completely different game. Unfortunately, I didn't get it off. I didn't kill the turtle. The turtle then turned around and killed the Shadow Queen, and obviously Morathi disappeared then. And he just started to cascade, basically, and catch up to me. So my early lead was really running away from me. This game got called at the end of turn 4 because of time. We only had 2.5 hour rounds in this tournament. It was 18-16 to me at that point when I won, but then because Matt and I are friends, and like I don't like winning on time being called, and so I'm like, let's play out turn 5, it won't take very long, let's see where the game would have ended. And so, because it was lunch then and we were happy to keep going, and so I ended up winning 21-20. Just on pure virtue that turn 4 to 5, I got, so essentially turn 4, I was like, I cannot win this unless I just score and then burn in my turn 5, and I needed to get the double as well, and I got the double, burnt the objectives, and got the victory basically with him catching up. So super close, and any win against Ideneth, like especially with an army that has a lot of focus on shooting, you just got to be happy with those victories. And I was ecstatic with the victory in this game. Matt obviously wasn't, but Matt's a good friend, and we always have good games. You can actually see him. I played a game against this Ideneth on the channel with my Hallow Heart. If you want to see, you'll just see in that video that he's just a great guy, and he's a good opponent to play against. So the last game of the tournament was into Barak Urbaz on Focal Points. So Focal Points is a scenario that I think I'm really strong into with this army because I like to castle and I like to have everything wholly within 12 inches of the Black Ark Fleetmaster. Interestingly, he took first turn. I thought it was a bit of an odd choice, particularly because I want, like, if you get doubled by KO, the game's typically over. But if you get doubled by my army, the game's also pretty much over. So he had the choice. He took first, put a single gun hauler on that middle objective. I pushed everything into the center, used my Scourge Runner Charge to zone out my backfield so that he couldn't drop the Ironclad anywhere. Turn 2, he won a priority, took it, dropped the Ironclad in front of my entire army, tried to remove some stuff. Did kill the snakes. I think he left 2 or 3 alive, but you know, really his output was lacking that turn because of the -1 to hit from my banner, and because of lookout sirs and all this stuff. Just target prioritization issues. So finally, in this game, I got off the clutch vitriolic spray, which I was hoping to get off in the lots of the previous games, and an Ironclad with no armor save just gets shredded by Dark Shards, and that's exactly what happened. So turn 2, he lost his Ironclad, the Shadow Queen went into his Thunderers, and it's basically game over at that point. So a really strong win, 42-9. I think that was a 19-1 victory for that game, and we called it early, which is not what I expect to do against in Focal Points round 5. But just because of the way the game played out, he lost his Ironclad, he lost all of his output basically as soon as the Ironclad and those Thunderers die, and then so we just called it there. Some overall thoughts about the tournament. Great tournament against 3 friends and 2 new opponents. 4-1 is always something to be happy with, especially in, you know, a 60 player tournament. I ended up placing 4th out of 64, which which I'm obviously really happy with. And the win, well, this win, this good result gets me an invite to the Australian Masters for this year, which is a big thing. Getting an invite to the Masters means you're in the top 16 players in the country, which is always fun, and I will be doing my best to attend and to, get Cities of Sigmar up there on the podium. Will be my goal if I'm able to do that. Still don't know what city, still don't know what edition we're going to be playing, but we'll see how it goes into AOS 3.0. Because the Masters is going to be run, I think, in August. So, we'll have a little bit of time to adjust to AOS 3 before getting into that. There have been a lot of discussions about whether my list is legal or not, and look, I've been a bit sassy about it all, saying that it's technically legal, which is the best kind of legal. It's a Futurama quote if you haven't watched it. I think they say it's technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. But the problem is that the Har Kuron city, while it could be absolutely amazing, it's just written absolutely shit. When you have a command ability that doesn't that triggers on a dice roll, they don't specify what you need on that dice roll. When you've got 2 cities that can't take their 1 and 4 as an ally, and this one they just go, oh, you know what, just let them do it. Why not? Because you're not meant to. There's a reason why you did it for Living City and for Tempesai. They should have just said you cannot ally Daughters of Cain. All they needed was a single line of errata to say that you can't ally Daughters of Cain into a Har Kuron army, and they just, like, not getting the retinue, not getting the adjutant, like not getting the empowered spells. Like, there's no reason why they needed to do all that stuff. They just, I don't know. They just phoned it in. I think it was just an added to a Psychic Awakening book right before the new edition, and it's probably not going to be legal in the next one. So I don't know. It's going to be sad if it's not, because I had good fun playing it. All I wanted to do by doing well was get it attention. I hope all of you that are angry about my list being somewhat potentially legal have messaged Ben Johnson and the FAQ team and asked them to fix it, because when I messaged both of those accounts and asked them to fix it when the book came out, they completely ignored it. So let's hope that, you know, me doing well will actually get some action happening. The list performed well into a wide array of armies and scenarios, so I fought, you know, fighty lists in the Fire Slayers, the Khorne, and the Ogres. I played, and I guess the Eels as well. And then I fought the Shooty army and the KO, and it did well into all of them. But the most important thing, it was super fun to play. It looks great on the table. It looks like old school Dark Elves, and a lot of people like that old school Dark Elf vibe before the Umbraneth obviously come out, whenever that's going to be. But it looks like a Dark Elf army of old, and it's, you know, it's got a lot of internal synergies. It's got a lot of strengths. It's real good fun to play. In the tournament, I forgot completely about the Brizhammer dice. 3 games out of the 5, but I've got my own dice with, I think I've got my Har Kuron dice coming, but I was using my Anvil Guard dice for this tournament, and they just look pretty. Whenever you roll 6s and you see that squid face, it's just, yeah, it's really happy times. The Realm terrain feature, Overgrown, was big. Basically, it meant the Shadow Warriors had to deploy on the edge of every single terrain piece I put them in to be able to see stuff to shoot, which meant that I couldn't just hide them in terrain at 18 and shoot stuff. So that was relevant for the 2 units of Shadow Warriors. I used the command ability once in the entire tournament to try and salvage that first game. As I said, to bring 10 Shadow Warriors within 9 inches of it, and then you get a charge off to get them onto the objective, and they failed that charge. So irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, but I almost used it to win the game, which would have been a cool finish to that game. So thank you everyone again for watching. This one's been a little bit longer, and it's been a little bit different content to usual. As always, reach out to me on Twitter at Zweihanderhall if you want to chat about cities. I'm always keen for a chat. I have a Patreon now, so you can go to the bottom, and if you want, it's like $5 a month to support me. If you want to do that, it'll help me get a better mic. I'm back to using my gaming headset mic, which seems to be doing better than the expensive bloody streaming one that I bought anyway. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Please leave comments below if you want to see more stuff like this. I don't go to many tournaments. It's pretty much once a quarter at the moment, just because of work and family commitments. But if I do well, or even if I do badly, I think I might start doing these just so I've got a little bit to reflect upon after a tournament. Because the thing is that when you record your games and you know what you did wrong and you know how to improve, you become a better player. And that's the important thing. Alright, so thanks everyone, and I will speak to you next week.